push yourself, go out, be vulnerable in front of the people. Don't say like, oh, I'm amazing, this is what I did and I'm awesome. No. And then you receive the love. Should get this vibe every day.
To be successful long term with wedding photography, you have to have other interests that just show your character as a person. And is this person interesting? You got to have a little spice in your life, and maybe you're into rock climbing or whatever it is. But to be only focused on one thing, it would be pretty boring. So asking yourself, why do you want to be a presenter? And then looking yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm doing it for the right reasons. Then yeah, that's good step one. My dad would come up in the morning and be like, all right, you make sure that every time someone comes in here, it's the best part of their day. Life is quick. Find something you love and go all in on that.
Today, we have Cole Roberts of Way Up North fame. He is a photographer living in the Nordic wilderness in his beautiful cabin for the moment. And we'll take it from there. Welcome. Thank you, Cole, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too. And I always like talking with you guys. So thank you for the invite to come on here.
We know how much you like a podcast, so thank you.
I think I said to you guys in my email, I usually say, nope. But you two are great. So it was easy to say yes to you two.
So we got to know Cole way back when, kind of during the exit of COVID, and Cole asked Lilly to speak.
2021.
I forgot now, So
yeah,
feels
I remember.
Feels like decades ago. But Lilly was invited to be a speaker at the Rome edition, and that was I kind of kicked off Lilly's speaking engagement tour as well. So I was really grateful for that opportunity and having been able to do that. And actually, Lilly, you attended one of the earlier Way Up Norths way back. Yeah. Which
it was
one was that?
2017 in Roma. Still in Roma. I always come to Roma. Do you remember that one?
Yep. That was Jose Villa edition, I believe.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was a good one.
It was a great one. We set up also table outside to photograph.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
It was great.
Yeah, but that was the second time that we had hosted the show in Rome, and the thing that I remember about that one was Jose. That he's the name and he's got a lot of notoriety attached to him, but he sat in the theater for 2 straight days and watched every presentation with Joel. And I remember seeing that and thinking, well, if he can do it, of all the people, if he can take in presentations and enjoy sitting there just being a guest, it was a good lesson on ego, because he certainly does not have one. And if a guy at that level doesn't have an ego, then I think we can all look at a guy like that and be like, well, if he's modest and zero ego, why would we have one? So yeah, that was cool. That was a good.
I agree. It was good. And let me tell you my experience about that. He was outside and nobody went to speak with him because I think people was really worried about, like, he's Jose Villa. And I was like, okay, I go talk with him. And he's so kind and sweet and nice. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a reason a guy like that is at the level he's at. And like if you think about like he's not a politician, obviously, but if you think about great politicians, they can kind of walk into a room and have the ability to connect with everyone in the room somehow, some way. And he has that kind of ability that I felt like anyone who kind of, stepped up and talked to him, he could talk to about anything. And he's just a really likable guy. So you don't get to the level he's at without having those skills, that's for sure.
Such an inspiration. He's like a inspiration as a person too. Like not just like, okay, you can get this level of photography, but it's like as a person, he's still him. He's not like me, myself, and I'm the best photographer in the world. He could be, like, he could easily be, but yeah. Since that day, I remember I was sitting and watching him and say like, oh, one day I want to be on top of the stage and speak, because I feel like I wanted to say something to the people, or I love how when you stay on the stage, you do your best to inspire, to give to other people something based on your experience. And when I like I to be honest with you, when you called me, I was like freaking out, probably turning red. It's like, oh my god, Collins called me, and it was one of the best experience ever. I keep on watching videos and go like people clapping and pumping you, like it's so good. Bravo.
Well, I think that like what you just said there is kind of the magic vibe you want to get, or I want to get from someone who I asked to present at the event. Because I remember years ago, maybe it was 2016 or 2017, there was a presenter who was awesome, really great presenter. And this person, just casually speaking before the event, had kind of like complained a little bit about the speaking tour that the person was on. And in my head, I was like, so we're just part of a speaking tour? And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. No, the person wasn't being mean spirited or anything, but what it kind of clicked in my head is like I don't want people who feel like they're on a speaking tour. I kind of want them to be scared shitless, like maybe how you reacted or how other people react, because kind of that sense of that fear and that sense that like, okay, I really got to prepare. Like that is the vibe you want. You don't want someone who's just on a speaking tour, because I don't know, there's a little bit of entitlement and ego that goes with that. And I just don't think that that's the vibe that I want Way Up North to have. So you saying you were excited and nervous and those things, like, yeah, that's the reaction you want.
I was freaking out. But after I got like some sort of like fire coming from the people. So I realized that we give to the people and the people give us something back. And it's like priceless. I go like, I raise my hands and say like, this is one of the best experience ever. Like push yourself, go out, be vulnerable in front of the people. Don't say like, oh, I'm amazing. This is what I did. And I'm awesome. No. And then you receive the love. Should get this vibe every day. I mean, not the stress of being on stage, but the vibe is like the love that you receive is like recharging batteries.
Well,
So
not
I
everyone
really,
gets the
really
love
love
the
it.
way you do. So it doesn't always work
Ay,
that way.
come on. Come on.
You know, when you started Way Up North, what was the intention behind it? What was it coming from a place of, I want some photographer friends? Was it coming from a place of, you know, maybe it would be nice to have a community where we can learn and share? Or what was the intention? Or was there no intention? Or you just kind of went with the flow?
No, there was. At that time, I started Nordica in 2010 with my former business partner Jakob. He's a great guy, and we kind of hit our stride, you could say, around 2012, 2013, where we were having a lot of luck with a lot of bookings, and people seemed to be gravitating to what we were doing. So that resulted in presenting at a lot of events. So at that time, it was like BODF and all the rest of them we had presented at those events. And when we were at the events, we appreciated the efforts that everyone was putting into making the events great. And we had some awesome experiences. And I think that kind of inspired us to like, why don't we step up and make our own event? Because in Scandinavia at that time, there were no events like Way Up North. So it was just kind of like the stars aligned. And deep down, Jakob and I, like, yeah, sure, we were wedding photographers and doing pretty good with it, but we always kind of had a entrepreneurial hat on. So it just kind of was a natural progression to start something and step up, rather than just, kind of brainstorming and being like, yeah, that'd be nice. Do you think we could do it? You think we could do it? So finally we just stepped up and did it. And we put everything together pretty quick. We had presented at an event in Cologne, and when we were done, we were just having beers in the hotel room, and we just banged it out, like pretty much everything. We knew what location we wanted to host the first one in Stockholm there. Came up with a name and just went for it. So I guess it was a bit of a a personal challenge that we looked at as much as a entrepreneurial one. And the personal challenge was like, could we like pack 500 people into a theater and put on a good show? And that was kind of the original intent. And then that first one in 2015, it sold out directly, and we're like,
Wow.
oh, this is cool. Like maybe we could do more. And then we were like, if we did this in a very unexpected city, that would make the Way Up North, the brand, a little bit more interesting. So we're like fuck it, let's do it in Rome. Like we'd never been to Rome, and but we were like, let's just go for it. And so like that let's just go for it mentality kind of drove Way Up North in those early years. But yeah, I don't think I looked past a year though, to be honest, in 2015. The Stockholm event and then Rome, and then I would never have imagined that this would be year 10 of doing it. But I'm pretty thankful that it's gone this long.
10 years. Like 10 years is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, 10
You,
years this year. So
that comes from a lot of being from a bit fearless, or a bit that you're not seeking perfection, you're looking for progress perhaps. And then how important was to have the right partner in all of this? Could you have done it by yourself, or would there, and then how have you grown, from 10 years ago to now? I'm sure there's a whole production behind to make something like this effect happen.
yeah, I think that an event like Way Up North, I think it would be pretty hard to start it from scratch on your own. I think any event, to be honest, of this size on your own, doing it twice a year, like it is a bit of a grind to do on your own, just running it, let alone starting it. So I think that Jakob and I, like, we had great chemistry and like working together, and like he's still a bud today. He's just moved on to other things. But at that time, we were almost pushing each other, like, and what I mean by that is like we were a two-person business, so, and everything we did benefited the other person. So like if
Wow.
one guy was slacking, you'd call him out on it. So that ability to be competitive with a common goal was a really healthy way to run our business back in the day. But fast forward to today, 10 years later, I don't think I would want to start an event like this on my own. I think it would be very challenging, because you're really juggling quite a few different balls, and then all of a sudden you're at the event, and did you juggle the balls in the right way, and did you get people to come to the event at all? Like there's quite a few moving parts, so doing it on your own I think would be pretty tough. Not impossible, but pretty tough.
More tough. I like that you are like everything started from wedding photographer to for being a wedding photographer, and they can branch out with so many other things. It's like we are not just we are more than just wedding photographer. Is great. You can do more like education, events, teaching, shooting, Airbnb. Like you are spreading your like, and it's so inspiring for me.
Well, I mean, if if you mean I am inspiring for you, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you. But I think that like my background, I grew up in Canada, and I grew up playing hockey. I played at a pretty high level, so that like that team first mentality has always been something that I've had. And also my parents were entrepreneurs. They have had a lot of businesses. Like, I won't bore you with their story, but they've done a lot of stuff. And then I moved on into working in restaurants, and I worked in restaurants for about 10 years. So when I look at my background, it's all kind of connected to hospitality. And I think if you take any wedding photographer, like any normal average wedding photographer, they have that hospitality DNA within them. I think you need to have the ability to work as a hospitality professional who just happens to take photos. So I think most wedding photographers, they probably could definitely start something outside of wedding photography just because of that inherent skill of being a hospitality professional. So in my case, yeah, I'm just branching into different areas of hospitality. This cabin project is an example of that, and yeah, we'll see.
Love
We'll
it.
see what the future
Love it.
holds.
As you see the background. So, do you think this is helping you to stay, like, do something else outside wedding photography is helping you to stay like motivated and inspired into when you grab your camera and go like, okay, like I still want to take photos and I'm not burned out.
Well, I'm still doing weddings and elopements, so I mean the desire to continue with that is still there. I've got quite a few
Mm-hmm.
bookings this year, but with this, I don't know if your listeners want to listen to me talk about cabins, but like this cabin project, I'm looking at this as like my long term 25-year project. So
Oh
like
wow.
my wife and I, like we have about 300 acres to play with.
Okay.
I mean, literally, and right now it's forests along the sea. So rather than using it for logging, which traditionally it has been used for, I want to have a resort here long term. So Airbnb, yes, you can rent it through there, but my definition is like this is going to be like a digital detox resort. That's what I want to do long
Ah,
term. So I'm motivated by what that, can I turn that dream into a reality over the course of 25 years. So this is cabin number one, and we'll see how it goes. But I don't think that I don't think this cabin project really connects to my wedding photography business at all. Like, when I'm photographing a wedding, it's like I'm there for that couple, not myself. So they definitely don't want to hear about
no,
my
maybe
cabin.
maybe in a way that is like you're not just focusing on weddings, wedding. It's like, okay, now I'm forced myself to think about something else. Like for me, like we're having a baby, and I'm excited that I'm forced to think about something else that maybe is not just the wedding business, and wondering, if Lisa is like going to give me like some break, and then when I go back into the business, it's gonna be like maybe I appreciate more. I want to have more energy to photograph. I don't know.
Man, I'm just thinking when you said that, I'm just thinking like, can a wedding photographer really only think about wedding photography? Like, just be like night and like, I don't know. I couldn't. And maybe there are people who are that way, and that's great that 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 have that much passion for wedding photography. But I think that to be successful long term with wedding photography, you have to have other interests that just show your character as a person. And is this person interesting? Like, so in my case, it's just like the outdoors and cabins and doing things with my three kids and things like that. And that's just like a reflection of my personality. And I think that reflection of my personality is what people who eventually book me connect with, I think. So if you're the type of wedding photographer who is like all in 100%, I only care about wedding photography. That's pretty one dimensional, to be honest. I think you got to have a little spice in your life, and maybe you're into rock climbing or whatever it is. But to be only focused on one thing, that would be for me, it would be pretty boring.
By the way, I want to see like at some point a photography village in your land there, like all the cabins full of photographers there. Would be great.
Well, that's the plan. I mean, yeah,
Love it. We
I have
wait.
it.
We wait.
Yeah, give me a few years. I gotta catch up. These things
Few
are
years.
expensive.
Okay. I know. I know.
You know what? It seems like each stage of maybe your professional life is balanced, like what's going on with you as a person, right? So maybe early on photography, more gung ho and ready to go out and conquer the world. And as you kind of get exposed to different things with wedding photography, you see communities, you see learning at scale, you see people supporting each other, and that gives you other opportunities such as way up north. Then you realize the importance of slowing down and being intentional with your time and having the space to like be creative and retreat. So then you see the birth of the retreat in the future. It's like an evolution, isn't it? Like you started at one point and it keeps on taking you down the road and a path opens up in front of you.
Yeah, I think like I even say that I said this to my wife the other day. Like I've been photographing weddings for quite a while, like 17, 18 years now, and I'm yet to feel comfortable saying I'm a photographer. I've always looked at myself as just a guy who's just gonna do entrepreneurial things, and that's definitely a reflection of my upbringing with my entrepreneurial parents. So I think, yeah, over time, I mean, interests change, which is a natural growth for anyone. Like you're gonna move on and something's going to get your attention. You're going to be more interested in that. So you'll gravitate towards that. And that's what definitely has happened with me, as you said. And as I gravitate towards things that are interesting to me, I just so happen to pop businesses up around them. So, with Way Up North, like that's really been, like a thing that has allowed me to be flexible though, with starting other things such as this cabin and even roadie workshops. And the reason why is like I did make a conscious decision with my kids coming into the world that I simply can't travel every single weekend the way I was, with Nordica in those early years. Yeah, and I don't think that's anything new. I think it's pretty tough to be a destination wedding photographer sustained over a long period of time. Eventually you're going to hate eating alone, and you might not be as excited to go through the fast lane at the airport check-in. Like there's definitely some exciting components about doing destination weddings, which was my focus. But I mean, how many times can you do certain things before it's just like, okay, maybe it's time to spice up your life and do something a little bit different? Not to be
I feel
Debbie
like you
Downer
are.
for all those destination
No.
wedding photographers, but
No, no. I think like if you're young is great. Like you have nothing, you go, you travel. This is the best experience. But whatever you say, we can rely so much. Right now, I feel like we're good to stay at home and understand what is gonna be the next chapter of life. Like when it's too much, you go like, I need to slow down. It's okay. Change direction, be open to other other things that are coming, other doors that are open, working hard.
Yeah, it's like personal growth in the journey, right? Your journey changes over time, and you're not meant perhaps to do the same thing you were doing 1 year ago or 10 years ago, right? I actually am really curious about your upbringing, Cole. You said your parents are entrepreneurs, and that seems to have a lasting foundation on how you approach your life. Do you mind speaking just a little bit about how that impacted you, or how you look back on
oh
it
yeah.
now?
Yeah, like I grew up in British Columbia, which is in Western Canada, and I grew up in a very small town called 100 Mile House. Literally, it's like a cowboy and Indian town, like 1,000
Oh,
people like in the
I
town,
love
and
it.
then 10,000 in the surrounding areas. So my parents were pretty funny. Like they were hustlers, and if there was a product or service in the town that wasn't there, they were gonna do it. So they had everything. Their main business was a video store that started the year I was born in 1982, and it actually ended up being Canada's longest running video store. It closed a couple of years ago, but in that video store, like that led to other things such as my parents opened a film lab, so they were developing film. They opened a framing
Wow.
studio. My first job was in a butcher shop, cleaning the shit in the stalls. They had a guiding area where they would take Europeans and Americans hunting and fishing. They had an event rental business with tables, chairs, and tents. They had a line painting business for a while. My mom was and still is a photographer. She started in the 70s. So like they were doing all of these things,
Wow.
and me and my brother and sister were kind of always around that. And I mean, no matter what they were doing, it all came back to hospitality, and we were working in the hospitality business. And like little things like in the video store, I'd be like 10, 11 years old renting videos, and my dad would come up in the morning and be like, all right, you make sure that every time someone comes in here, it's the best part of their day. Okay, that's easy enough to do. So, I just learned these little hospitality, lessons that were kind of ingrained in me from a young age. And yeah, but it's pretty funny looking back at some of the stuff that I was doing as a kid, because I mean, a 12-year-old should not be tying flies on a boat for four very rich German guys and catching their fish and then gutting their fish and then cooking the fish for them on a fire. Like I was doing a lot of unusual things at a young age, but looking back, I mean, it was pretty awesome. But at the time,
It,
I
yeah,
don't know why
absolutely.
my parents just thought I was cheap labor. But I guess that's what I'm doing with my kids now, because my oldest daughter is going to be cleaning this cabin all summer. So
I love
it's
it.
all it's all
No, I mean,
full circle. It's full circle.
Yeah, it's like it's like those early lessons you get in life that you didn't think were lessons at the time. You look back with a little bit of experience and go, huh, like that's perhaps why it turned out that way. So it's interesting that you take that same, not same, but that you take like a that avenue or direction in raising children, right? You have your family now, how have those entrepreneurial lessons and doing what you've done impact how you raise them?
Um, well, I guess, it's pretty natural that the way that like I or people parent their kids is a reflection of how they were parented, the good things and the bad things. But I think that if I'm understanding the question correctly, the way I look at parenting my kids is like, I just want them to find something they love and go all in on that. And they're pretty young. One's 6, one's 10, and one's 12. But, like I am drilling into their head constantly, like life is quick. Find something you love and go all in on that. And that might change over time, and that's fine. But at the same time, I think that, when I was growing up around entrepreneurial parents, which I guess I am to my kids now, like I just remember that I needed to be able to speak to anybody in a room. Like the video store example, for just a random one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small town, and you kind of laugh at the idea of a video store now because everything is digital. But I mean, that was like a hub of the community. There, you'd come into the video store
Wow.
on a Friday afternoon, and there'd be like 100 people in the video store renting videos. And as each person would, come up to the counter and speak to you, me in that case, just a young guy, like I needed to be able to speak to anybody who came up to me. And that's a skill that, later when I waitered in restaurants, for example, like when you go up to a table in a restaurant and you want to kind of like charm them for a good tip, you can't go up to each table and tell the same joke, for example. Like everybody's different and you need to
Yes.
adapt quickly.
Yes.
And then that segued into wedding photography because, when you're working with a couple doing portraits, for example, you can't really treat everyone exactly the same way. You need to adapt. So those things are, I don't tell my kids this is how you take pictures of a couple, but what I do tell them is like, you need to be able to communicate with people no matter who they are, where they're coming from, and kind of adapt the conversation to who's in front of you. My 6-year-old doesn't care. My 10-year-old's starting to care, and my 12-year-old definitely cares. Like she's a hustler. So.
Wow. Is a daddy girl?
Mm, mm,
No.
I don't know. I get
I mean,
nervous.
for sure, if you put her in a cabin to clean, she's not a daddy girl.
No, my oldest, like I look at her and I know that she looks exactly like me, and I'm like, oh Jesus, oh, I hope she. But yeah, all 3 kids are different, but the oldest one, she's all business. That one. I've actually thought about having her.
Business.
I've thought about having her present it way up north, but my wife is like, people don't buy tickets to
Not
watch a
yet.
12-year-old.
Well, you're going to see an interesting angle on prospecting in life. I will come to hear her for sure. Actually, talking about speakers, like uh, like also like you need to diversify. Is a word diversify? I don't know. Is it okay? You need to diversify every time, like the topic, the speakers. You have to keep this event like fresh. If you pass me the word, what are you looking for when you look about speakers?
Yeah, the number one, like the first thing I'm not looking for is ego. If I sniff out ego, then I will move on to the next person I'm considering because like there's a lot of talent out there, and what I've learned with Way Up North over the years is like you could almost take anybody who's sitting in the seats, and they probably could put together a pretty good presentation. So I
Mhm.
feel like there's no shortage of great talent out there that you could invite to be a presenter. So if I do sniff out a little bit of ego, then I'll just move on to the next person, and because that feeling of entitlement, people will feel that in the seats, and that's not something that is within the Way Up North DNA. So to keep things fresh,
Can you
like
tell from a call?
yeah, for sure, you can
Fantastic.
tell from an email, like it's pretty easy to identify. And one thing that I look for is, do I get the feeling that this person is presenting for themselves or for the people in the seats? If I get the feeling they're presenting only for themselves, then I'll move on to the next person. And that's not like a character attack. Like there are some friends
Yes.
of mine who I've felt that way, and they're still my friends, but they're just not going to present the Way Up North, which is okay.
Yes.
But to keep things fresh, like if it was only me picking like identifying potential presenters and inviting them and then building a lineup. If it was only me doing that, I think it would not work. So to answer your question, I keep it fresh by just asking people I trust, who's out there, who don't I know about. In your case, a few years ago, it was Anna Ascari who said you need to ask her. So there you go, and here you are.
You need to
so
ask her.
so like I there's a lot
Yeah.
of people out there who have a pulse on those people who I don't know are out there. So I need to ask and listen. Um, but when it comes down to like actually building the overall lineup, I really like having people in the lineup that nobody's heard of. Those are the most fun people, and you need to
Yes.
kind of balance those with more established names.
Yes.
And when it's all said and done, hopefully you have like 15 people who are all different, because I think that's more interesting if you have a lineup that's like each person you don't know what you're getting and it's different from the last person. You might, like if you're watching the event, there might be a presenter who you're like, this is not for me, but the person sitting next to you might be like, that was the best shit I've ever heard. So if you do that on
Absolutely.
repeat over 2 days, the result will be an interesting event.
It's from personal experience. It's so pumping. Like being there. Like the last one we've been was Florence. See, it was in
Hmm.
Florence.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was a good
another
one.
great one. It was a great one. Like also go there and see other photographers all the time, and they go like, "How are you doing?" And like meeting people in person, like the person behind the social media, and see that they're not like, "Oh my God." Is real people. I don't know. Like you hug, you laugh, you create connection. Is uh, I don't know. I just will come and entertain people with like balls and like, hey, we love it. We love Way Up North. I'm a huge supporter of Way Up North. If you didn't understand,
Well,
because it's
thank you for
more
that.
than I go there and listen. It's like everything else around. It's great.
Yeah,
I mean, I love it.
I do feel pretty lucky that like I think for the most part when people think of way up north, there is a positive feeling that people have with the brand, and that's kind of a reflection on awesome people coming to the event. Like, maybe there's some shitheads that come, sure, but
I mean,
they keep a low profile.
always.
So overall, it is a really good community, and I'm quite proud of that. So.
What's an advice that will give to somebody that wanna come there and speak? Feels like, I really like. I'm thinking about when I was listening Jose V. I was like, I really would love to go speak, but I don't know how to do it. What's some advice that you will give to a photographer?
Well, I'll kind of answer that in two ways. The first answer is like people who are thinking that way, like, why do you want to present? Like, really, well, like, why do you want to present?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Why?
yeah, like, that's a question each individual would need to answer. But, like, if the answer is like, if I become a presenter, I will get to sell more of my thing, then that's like doing it for the wrong reasons. So asking yourself, why do you want to be a presenter? And then looking yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm doing it for the right reasons, then yeah, that's good, step one. And then the other side of the coin, like people who come to me and want to present or show an interest in presenting, like I'm not in a rush to put people on the stage just because they have a big social media following, or like they might sell
Yes.
more tickets. Like that is not a reason why I invite people to present. So sometimes it might take a little time before the relationship is there and it feels right for the person to be a presenter. But just to give you one example,
Yes, please.
there at the next event in Berlin, Nina,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a presenter there who she was a volunteer for 3 events. So she'd be blowing up the balloons and packing the swag bag, and I noticed her, and she was just awesome, like a hard worker, a hustler. And then about a year ago, I guess it was about a year ago, she said, I think I'd like to present at the event. And I'm like, okay, well, it might not happen right now, but I've just seen how hard you're working every time when you help out. So just based on that alone, I mean, I know you'd put your heart into being a great presenter, and turns out, fast forward, she'll be presenting in Berlin.
There you go.
So I don't know if I'm giving you like or your listener, I guess, a clear answer, but in my case, as an event guy, like I don't have like an application you can fill out on the website to submit yourself as a potential presenter, and I don't have like a super like rigid formula for people to become a presenter. I guess I'm a little bit more organic. Like people will come to me with a suggestion, that person will then be on my radar, and I'll just kind of like feel it out. I guess it's a lot of feel. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's how I do it.
I love it. I love that you don't go with a big following. You don't go with the ego. You go with a feeling. You go with the what is the best for the crowd. And I want to hug you, Cole. Like this is amazing. It's like it's something genuine that you don't see very often now. It's like genuino, as we say in Italian, something great. And it's like, to be honest, you learn so much. It's not because you don't have followers you don't learn. You
Yeah.
learn from everybody. You learn from everybody. Everybody.
What you just said there kind of it reminded me of Dan O'Day. He's just a beauty. He's presented twice, and he presented in Berlin a couple years ago. And during his presentation, he said something real funny, like, I didn't know who any of these presenters were, and some of them had 400 followers on Instagram, and they're fucking brilliant, in his Aussie accent. So, like, yeah, followers aren't a big deal. I mean, I'm curious what social media will even look like in a year. Where will it even be like the right now? I understand that it's like having a big following is very useful, and you want a big following, and it's going to lead to bookings, and it's going to lead to positive things. But in a year, like, will social media have the influence it does right now on decisions like building a lineup for an event and things like that? Like, I'm not too sure. I'm curious where the next wave of attention will go, because I kind of get a funny feeling it's drifting away from social media a bit.
And like, tell me more about. I'm curious.
There's an absolute beauty, Swedish blogger, Zana, who I was talking with the other day. Zana and I have done projects together throughout the years, and she's got the wedding blog, and she's got a dress line, and she's a hustler from Sweden here. And we were on Slack just chatting about social media, and she's like, "What are you noticing?" And my answer to her was, "It's better off for people to show their cat or their kid instead of trying to show their best work, because their best work is not being seen, which is kind of an indicator that the attention is going somewhere else." So where will that attention go? I'm not too sure, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced it's all about Instagram anymore.
Everybody want the answer, but I agree with you. Like, and this is such a relief. Like, we don't have to live there. You don't have to just work on there. There is a life outside, and no.
Oh yeah.
I think we're in the phase of where people are social media out. They want that connection, authenticity that we kind of gave up with being present online all the time. The attention spans are so short these days because we've been dopamine tapped. And so we have this addiction to social media. And to break it is a challenge. You have to find something to replace it, or you have to find something that can really hold your attention again. And we all hope that could be real communication and conversations and relationships, right?
Yeah, I agree.
We used to feel that things.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess in our case, I guess we're at the age that we're like, social media was very useful because it was easy. It was easy to get attention, and it was easy to go viral, and it was easy to make connections. And now it's not easy. So I think, this is going to sound a little bit bad, but like most wedding photographers or like solo entrepreneurs, like, you do want the easy path to bookings, and you want the easy path to getting attention, and social media happened to be the easy path. Now it's not. So I guess that's my point, is I wonder where the path will lead next. could be a variation of social media. Maybe X will be where everyone gravitates to and starts an account, and maybe that will be easy. So I guess I don't know how I got into the social media path, but here we are. I guess my point, like I think Instagram is just going to phase out as being the path for wedding photographers to bookings, because I just think it's not the way anymore.
Is maybe over like it's too much? Is too many? Is everybody there? Is how do doesn't I don't have the right words. It's like
Your words are good.
over. I'm living here for too much. I have to go back to US. There's too many people. There's too many photographers, and it's hard to show yourself. Like you need to get out from like just being like show the photos, show something else, a personality, and it's a job. It's a job. Social media is a full-time job.
Yeah, and you guys are great at it. So I mean, I'm not here to shit on
No,
social
it's a
media, because I
full-time
know you
job.
guys are good at it.
Thank you, Cole. I really appreciate it. That's exactly what I hoped for. It was a great conversation. I'm glad we got connected again.